So today in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to 5x your Shopify conversion rate, and we're going to do this by just doing something called A/B testing. Now I touched on this on my previous video, but I didn't go into how to actually A/B test, what softwares to use, how to check the results, which I think a lot of people, they know what software to use, they know how to do it, they know maybe what to test, etc. They can do it to a very basic level, but they don't know how to actually read the results. And sometimes the software itself shows you like the results and says this one's better, but that's not always the case. So let's get right into it. I'm going to show you how to do it the proper way. Now when it comes to software, you can either use VWO, there's also convert.com, which they also have a free trial. You can use either, both of them basically do the same thing. So yeah. Now the first thing you want to do is you want to come over and actually connect your Shopify store, right? So you do that through, as you can see, hold on, maybe I can't see it here. There you go. Configuration, integration, you want to connect it through here, and you also put your website into here, press connect now, etc. I'm not going to go into that, but it's pretty straightforward to be honest. You'd also have to add some sort of code to set this up. Pretty sure you have to do the same with convert.com, but yeah, it's really straightforward. If you do have any issues, either shoot me a DM on IG, I can help out, or you can press need help here. Their support team can get back to you. But as I said, if you need help, just make sure to shoot me a message and I can help out as well. Now once you come back to the dashboard, right, as you can see, this is just an alt account. I haven't even verified the email, but yeah. So you can get a free trial in here as well. They also have a free plan up to 50,000 visitors, which is pretty good. So if you're starting out with A/B testing, this should be really good for you, right? Now what you want to do is you want to come to your testing section here, press A/B, and then you want to press create an A/B test. Wait for that to load, and here it is. So you put your website, let's put test.com just as an example, and here's where you have your variants. So this will be your control, that will be your current website. So however your website looks right now, that's what it's going to look like here. So what you want to do is you want to add a variant, and you want to have the split 50-50. Now just to keep track of these, because you're probably going to have, hold on, I save the changes. You're going to have a few campaigns here, right? So you might even want to change the campaign name. So let's say we're testing a sticky, and that's a button, right? For this test. So this is a sticky. Because at the end of the day, once you do a lot of these tests, which you are going to do once you start A/B testing, you want to actually keep track of what the test was. Because when you have a lot of them, it might get a bit confusing as to what you tested, what gave results. So you want to name something proper. You can even name the control. So you could be like number one if you need to. Doesn't really need it in this, but sometimes you might need to name the control. But yeah, that's it. So the naming, perfect. You also have to set up your metrics. I'm not going to get into that. Again, it should be quite straightforward, and it's different. Like sometimes it can be a bit different, based on how you set things up. So I'd say the best way to do this is either contact them, or if you need help personally from me, you can shoot me a DM as well, again, and I'll be happy to help. But the metrics is basically just going to be your results, right? What you're basing off, and you'll be able to see it, in reports. So when you start running the test, in your reports, you'll be able to see it. Now, what you want to do is right now, we do value per visitor. That seems to work well for us. You can do conversion rate as your metric that you're tracking. You can do 2 at a time if you want, right? But yeah, right now we're doing value per visitor, and it's quite an accurate way to track it. Now what you want to do here is you want to go to visual editor. Now you're not going to be able to see anything as that was a fake website. But if we change it to, as you can see, sometimes it can bug out, but if you install the smart code and stuff, it should be fine, which, as I was saying, that's a part of the setup. So before you do this, you have to do that. As you can see, it will load up the website, and this is just what the website looks like, and you'll be able to check. So this is the normal one, and this is the one they're going to be editing. So you'd come over to library. Now if you want to do it very basically, if you can't code, etc., you do have some options here, as you can see. So we can add some of these image pop-ups, blah blah blah, right? Go to my library, if there's anything there. As this is an alt account, here you go. So you can add any of these that you want, form buttons, headings, etc. You can test like that. Now, what we do, right, and we do this for clients, right? What we recommend is if you know how to code, or if you have someone on the team that can code, or hire someone that can code, you can actually make very personalized tests by just coding it in. So hold on, let me go navigate. There you go. Right, so you just come down to here and they'll be able to code everything in, right? We usually do it with JavaScript, and yeah, makes it way easier. We can make much more personalized tests, right? And much more, I'd say, you can actually get it to look how you want it to look through code. If you use the ones they have here, it might not be as accurate or exactly as you want, so we usually code it. So that's what I'd recommend. But if you just want to have a feel for it, etc., you can definitely use these. That's basically it. And after you have the test running, let's just say this is done, save it. There we go. Something is missing. It's probably the metrics. Let's just call it sales. Now this is going to be, I don't have the metrics set up, as you can see. Let's just go page visits and create that. Save it. There we go. Now we can start the test. So once you start the test, now you want to have everything set up properly before you start the test, because after you start the test, it's not necessarily recommended to change things, especially to do with the website and stuff like that. So make sure everything's set up properly before you start the test. But let's say everything's set up properly, now you can start the test. As you can see, it's saying that the smart code is not set up. But once you start the test, you're able to go to reports and see, the results, right? After you run it for a specific time. Now that's what I'm going to get onto. The reason it's recommended that you have 50,000 visitors, right? How many visitors do you have per variant? As you can see here, it's split 50-50, right? If you have 50,000, that means within a month, 25,000 to one variant, 25,000 to the other variant. That's a decent number to actually get a good result. But if you have less than, let's say, 30,000, which I'd say is the lower minimum, like the minimum amount you need per month of visitors to actually start A/B testing. If you have, let's say, 10,000, you're gonna have to wait a whole month to only get 5,000 per variant. And especially if you're running like smaller tests, right? And I'll get onto what that means. But if you're running smaller tests, it's gonna be really hard to actually, determine which one's the winner. Almost impossible unless you wait 5-6 months, and then there's no point, because within 5-6 months, a lot can change to the point where we actually run a test, for example, and then we have that, going, blah, blah, blah. We can run that test a couple months, the same exact test a couple months, or maybe even a year later, and we'll have completely different results based on that same test, because the market changes, user behavior can change here and there, stuff like that. So that's the thing. If you have less than 30 to 50,000 visitors, if you have more, that's great. You can run tests for like a week or two and you get accurate results. And I'll tell you why that's the case right here, right? So once you get the results, I'll tell you why that's the case right here, right? So once you get the results, this one that I'd recommend, here's the URL, right? Spiro.com A/B test calculator. So you want to put it in here, 14 days, and this will tell you whether, what's the winner. So which variant's the winner, if there even is a winner, right? So let's say test variant. Now let's say with the example I gave you have 5,000 per variant. So you have 10,000 monthly visitors. And let's give it 2% conversion rate for this one. Let's do a baseline level. And let's give it a bit higher here. So you got 10 more conversions. That's decent, right? Let's actually put more. Let's say a conversion rate is 2.4, which is a decent uplift, right? But as you can see, that's an uplift of 20%, which only requires 34 days, which is good, right? You can actually, that's something that's viable, and that's what I was going to get onto. So if you, what this means here is 54%. That's a 54% improvement, basically. If you, if that's what you're aiming for, if it's a big test, you'll be able to tell within a short amount of time. So 1 week, let's say, right? And that'll be a reliable result if there is an uplift of 50. Now, the smaller you get, so as you can see, this is 20%. You're going to want to test that for longer, if that makes sense. Let's say you have 100,000 right here. It's because the conversions were off, as you can see. There you go. Now, as you can see, if you have 100,000 visitors and you're after, a 20% conversion uplift, and your conversion rate is 2% and it's 2.4 now, right, which is 20% uplift, you only have to test for 5 days. Only 5 days. And you can see it here as well, it will tell you. So you can actually test a 9% conversion uplift within just 3 weeks, a 10% nearly conversion uplift within just 2 weeks. Now, this is a concept that it took quite long for me to grasp as well. And it takes, it's quite hard to explain, but if I was to put into really simple terms for you guys, right, just to make this really easy, is now, if you're after a higher conversion rate uplift, so let's say your conversion rate's 1%, and you want conversion rate to be 1.5% within this test, right? That's going to be a 50% uplift, right? Now, if you want a 50% uplift, you run it for a week, and you don't have that many visitors. Let's say you have 20,000 visitors per month, so that's 10,000 per variant within that month. You probably won't have to wait that month, right? Because it's 50%. If that test was able to do that, you only have to probably run it for maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, even with low visitors. And I can give you an example of that now. So if we were to go, let's say you did have low visitors, let's say you had 30,000, right? So within that month, you had 15,000 per variant. And let's say your conversion rate was, not that, let's say 1%. And now it's 2.5, there you go, yeah. Now it's 1.5%. That's a 50% uplift. And as you can see, even with low visitors, so with just 30,000, you only have to run that test for 6 days. Now, if the uplift was lower, and majority of the time this is going to be the case, probably maybe around, let's say 20% on average, let's say that's what you're aiming for, right? Now 20% uplift, wait, that's 17% uplift, let's go with that, 16.67% uplift. As you can see, you have to run it for 46 days, which isn't terrible, right? It's not ideal. If you had something a bit higher, maybe if you had a test that was 33%, 13 days, 2 weeks, that's ideal. If you have a test that you only have to run for 2-3 weeks, that's good. Now, I hope this makes sense. You might have, if you have to watch the video over and over again, feel free to. That's what I had to do. I remember back in the day, right? I had to watch it over and over again to actually, grasp the concept. I don't know why. It's easy for me to understand now, but during that time it was very difficult. I don't know why, but that's the case. So hope it makes sense. If this video doesn't, also you can research more into it, which is what I'd highly recommend for you to do. Once you understand this, you'll actually be able to check your tests, right? And before you run a test, you can give your estimates, right? So you'd be like, maybe I want this test to give about 20% uplift, and it'll give you an idea of how long you have to run that test, right? So this basically, you can use this pre-test. So before the test, it even has, as you see, pre-test analysis, where you can put in your numbers, see how long it will take. And also, once the test is done, you can use this to actually, check the results, right? See which one's the winner, see if there is a winner. And if there isn't, sometimes if it's going on for too long and there's still no winner, that means the test just isn't good, right? So there's no point of making that change. So after about, let's say 4 weeks, you can give yourself a time, right? After about, if it goes past that time, then you're like, okay, look, this isn't working for us, right? This test isn't, clearly it's not good. It's not really much of an improvement. Let's go on to the next test, right? That's how simple it is. And obviously, if there are winners, keep them going, see how they do. If this says 2 weeks, that's how long it takes. Wait for 2 weeks, get an accurate result. If there's an uplift, right, and this tells you there's actually an uplift, then that's a green light. You can actually apply the test to your website. So yeah, that's how simple it is. Now, if you're wondering, what can I test? I'll show you some here, right? So we actually have a list of things we test for CRO. Some of these we apply straight away, but some of these we do test. So for example, page speed, right, is a big part of, CRO. So you can use gzip compression, which will make your website faster, which will improve your CRO. And stuff like that, you can just apply, right? Some of the stuff here, right, you can A/B test. So clickable call to action should be clickable. You could A/B test. Explicit call to action test, you could A/B test, right? You can allow users to favorite a page or product. Again, you can A/B test that. And if you go here, there are examples. So for this one right here, as you can see, you can favorite it. So H&M have this, right? So you can A/B test stuff like that. Now, what I'd recommend is looking into CRO a bit, because I could give you stuff here, but this isn't personalized for your website, if that makes sense. So what I'd recommend is, look into CRO a bit, right? Or hire someone that, can do CRO, and look at your current website, and you have to look at stuff like, pretty sure I have a video on this. If I don't, I'll definitely make it after this video. But you have to look at your Google Analytics, you want to look at heat maps, you want to look at scroll maps, and based off this data, right, come up with tests based off data. So I'll give you an example of, a basic process of what we go through. We'd go through Google Analytics and we have a funnel so we can see where majority of people drop off. Let's say it's the product page, right? Majority of people are dropping off at the product page. There's you can look at the baseline metrics of, what percentages people should be dropping off at each point. And if one of the points, as I said, the product page, more people drop off at the product page than they should, then that's a clear sign there's a problem there. And once you identify what part of the funnel is a problem, that's what we want to focus on. So you go on you go on heat maps, scroll maps on the product page and see why people are dropping off. And then based off this, you can then come up with tests to actually go ahead and A/B test on something like VWO, right? And you check your results here, or you can do a pre-test analysis to see how long it will take you to actually come up with results, right? Accurate results. So yeah, that's basically how simple it is. That's me putting it in simple terms. Now, CRO is a vast subject, right? There's a lot that goes into it. So I'm gonna continue this as like a series. That's not really a series, but just going over CRO. So if you go through my videos, you'll be able to, eventually figure out how to do CRO even for yourself. Now, if you do need help implementing all this, right, all of it's done for you. There's a link right in the description you can check out. Now, if you like the video, there's a button for that, and make sure to subscribe. As I said, especially if you're interested in CRO or anything else to do with e-commerce, we do videos on ads, etc. So it basically covers everything in e-commerce. As I said, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of these videos. And also make sure to comment whatever questions you have about this, about anything else to do with e-commerce, as I'll 100% make a video on it, or at the very least answer your questions. But yeah, that's it, and I'll catch you guys next time.